Yo, this is Skrilla the Great, your Deep South Wrestling champion. And I just wanted to tell you that you should stay tuned in to CCP Podcasting because why? Why? Because they're the number one indie podcast in the world right now. Tune in, love it, like it, share it, do it. Boom.
Friends of CCP Podcasting, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bell. I am Chris Page, being joined by my man John Cable. Mr. Cable, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, it's an interesting rainy morning here, so we'll see how it goes, but it's a great one anyway. And I feel like, as much as it might be raining outside, I think that the summer heat wave might be rolling back through here.
We only get a handful of cold days in Florida, and we're not there yet. But I feel like the heat could be kicked up a little bit with today's program. We have got a guest that we had on in our first season, back when we referred to it as Georgia Wrestling Takeover, because we had so many talents from Georgia back to back on our Beyond the Bells. It was tremendous. We had a fun conversation, and our guest today, we had to cut it a little short because, guys got to make some money. Got to get out there and make some drives, and boy, not only has he done that, but since we've spoken to him last, he was got injured, was on injury reserve, has now made his way back into the independent scene, and is back on the road. You see him in Georgia, you can see him in, I believe it's Tennessee. Had some dates down in Florida. First of all, piss off for canceling Fed. I'm a little upset with you about that. But it is, you're 100% correct. It's summertime. We've got the one and only Mr. Deon Summerz is back with us today, sir. How are you, man? It's good to see you. Thanks for coming back and chatting with us.
Hey, look, I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be back. I said for a minute that I wanted to come back on here. I'm back on here. We got to talk about a lot of things.
Oh, sure.
And the fact that you brought up, I did injure myself. And surprisingly, it was the same day we had our last interview. That show I went to, it was in Savannah, Georgia. And I'm going to tell the story of how it exactly happened. You want me to start with that?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, you don't have a match tonight, do you?
I was going there next.
Oh, no.
Okay, good. Then you can
Okay,
talk.
good, because if it happens a second time, like the fact that it happened once,
I made sure my schedule is completely clear, so I don't have to worry about anything after this interview.
Good.
So I went to a show in Savannah, Georgia. I was going against actually the wrestler that I went against for my first match.
Yeah.
So I was very excited for this because basically all the stuff I've learned over the years, I'm like, all right, now it's 3 years from this first match. I want to see what we're capable of doing with all this knowledge now. So we get in there and I'm shining up. This is my first time in front of this audience. They're cheering me on. I'm going through the motions. All I know is my opponent rolled out the ring. I went for a regular house show dive. And on this day, normally I would land on my feet, but on this one, I kind of relied on him to catch me or me just like landing on all fours. That was on me. So I'm not going to like blame him or anything, but that was on me. I did the house show dive and I got up. So I'm about to pick him up and throw him back in the ring. This one I looked down at my arm because I couldn't move my arm for a second. I couldn't move it at all. So I looked down at my arm, and normally I wear like a sleeve when I'm wrestling. I look down at my sleeve, and the sleeve is like poking up. So I'm like, dude, I think my arm is dislocated. But I don't know. Immediately I started to think about like Triple H. What would Triple H do? And I was about to try to like at least get him and have him pin me or something. But I was like, no, I can't even move my arm. So I looked at the ref because the ref was right there next to us outside of the ring. I was like, hey, you're going to have to stop the match. He was like, why? I brought my arm up and I was like, my arm is dislocated. He looked at my arm. He said, "Oh shit!" Like the reaction on his face was like way worse than it was. Like I personally couldn't feel anything. It's just I couldn't move my arm. I
Yeah,
was
of
not
course.
I was not in any pain at all. So he threw up the X, and I immediately went to the back because the side we did the house show dive on, that was the entrance side anyway. So I just charged straight to the back. It was a couple people in Gorilla. They was like, "What happened? Like, why are you back so quick?" I was like, "I dislocated my arm. I'm laying on the floor holding my arm." We go all the way back to the locker room, and there's like a little waiting room area next to the locker room, and it was this guy that was in the military. He was a medic. So my mom rushed back there because she's down in Florida, and like this was her chance to come see me wrestle. It's been a minute, and luckily she was at the show because like if she wasn't there, like I feel like all this would have happened differently. But she came rushing to the back right after me, and the dude asked my mom like, "What is going on?" Like, this one, like this situation looks more serious than when people are just normally selling to the back. Like they're just selling to the
Yeah,
back.
there's no cell to the back, baby. This is for
Yeah,
reals.
like he seen it was a crowd of people and like they were holding my arm and stuff. And it's like there's nobody back there for you to really like put on that image like it's still a work. So he knew something was up. So my mom's rushing past and then she was like, "Yeah, my son dislocated his elbow, blah blah blah." And he was like, "What? For real?" So he came back there. I'm sitting down on the couch. My opponent asking what happened. We were good. What's going on? And the guy just walks up and he's holding my arm. He's telling me to breathe in and out slow. And I'll say in like 10 seconds, he put it back in place.
Ooh.
I was completely shocked. I didn't feel a thing. Still didn't feel a thing. But he put it back in place. And then he was like, "Yep, you're good now. It's back in place." And surprisingly, my coach was there. My first ever wrestling coach, Simon. And he was like, "Let's put in like a little brace, a little homemade brace." So he got like a cardboard box. He put it around my arm, and they taped it up real tight so I can at least have my arm in place until I get to the hospital and we know where we can go from there. So all of them helped out with that, and I immediately went to the hospital. My mom took me to the hospital, and I also had somebody that rode with me to the show. And they pretty much got the keys to my car and stuff and was able to just, take my car around the city while I was at the hospital. So yeah, we got to the hospital and the doctor was like, luckily that guy was there to put my arm in place because it could have been way worse if my arm was out of place for that whole trip to the hospital. Because the longer it's out of place, I could have had total ligament,
bad.
and it could have been way worse. I could have been out for like they said like 6 to 9 months. It's like dang. But yeah, luckily it was probably like a month or two of healing. It wasn't that long. And people were shocked when I came back as soon as I did. I was like, dude, I mean, I knew what I was doing. Like I was rehabbing my own arm at one point, and then I also went to rehab to like learn the exercises I need to do. I stayed on top of all that. On top of that though, I was eating healthy. I knew like the different things that gave you like strength in your bones. I was taking vitamins. So all of that played a part in me healing as quick as I did.
So you took the
So
Hulk Hogan approach.
yeah, Hulk Hogan
Get your
approach.
vitamins, get your vegetables, do the work.
Yes, sir. But
I
yeah,
remember
like
I remember seeing the picture, right? Probably think it was the next morning on social media. And of course, I get up at the butt crack of fucking dawn. So I see it's posted. You posted it that night. I think my first message to you is, "What the fuck happened, man? Like, are you okay?" Like just via DM. I just wanted to check in because I don't like seeing anybody go down. Number one, but something that you mentioned right there was the comeback and how you came back quick because it was about 2 months or so. I would follow the status updates and see what was happening, and at the same time on the peel behind the curtain, if you will, Naja had started sending me some of the PCW shows to review and take a look at, and it happened to be right around the time of the big tag team tournament. I think it was a tag team tournament, and that was when I first heard from your mouth via the program that you're back, you're coming back, you're going to be available for this tournament. The summertime boys are going to be a thing, and it made me happy because I just get, I don't personally know you, but I can just get a sense that you're such a good guy. That to see you down and out even for just a handful of months has got to feel like an eternity, number one, because you're just hitting the stride with Deon Summerz, and to have a minor setback like that, was it difficult for you to mentally put yourself in the position of, let me get back, or was it easy? Some guys, they can hone in on it like that. This is what I need to do. This is what the fuck I'm gonna do so I can get back right now. What was your mentality on it?
Well, see, like you said, I was starting the year off strong. I was getting like so many bookings. I was booked up. Like literally, I was booked on the day we had the interview. Um, Luckily, I learned a lot from Matt Cardona. We did talk a little bit about him when I was
Mm-hmm.
last on here. Like I learned a lot from him. And one thing he did say, like, take advantage of every moment. So when I did get injured on those PCW shows, I've never really talked on the mic. So this was my first opportunity to really talk because I wasn't in ring. They still wanted me to be involved some way. So I was like, okay, this is different. Now let me work on my promo skills in front of a crowd at that, not just recording a promo from home, but I got to work on that. And I feel like at the same time with me having this downfall of getting my arm injured, I still got the benefit of getting better on the mic. So that was one positive from the situation. And like mentally, like I was not out of it mentally. Like I was still excited to be around wrestling. Like some people when they get injured, it's like, damn, I really wish I can be in the ring. Me, I just tried to find my way to still be involved because there's many different aspects to still be involved with wrestling. There, you got commentary, you got management, you got just helping out in the back in general. You could still be giving tips on other people's matches if you felt like something could have changed. Like, hey man, you could have did this differently. It's still different ways to help out with the show, with the individual or with the show as a whole. And I also got different opportunities to still go to some of the shows that I was booked on. And one situation, it was like a battle royal. I was supposed to have a one-on-one match at that show, and instead I went in their battle royal with the arm injured, and it was hard to pitch it to the owner, but
Yeah,
I
you
was
think?
like, yeah, I was
As
like,
a,
yeah,
as a
Listen,
fathead, you'd
did
be
you
like, no.
no,
yeah,
no, no, no. You
but
you pulled a Sheiky from WrestleMania 17, buddy. I can't go over the top rope, but I can be in your battle
yeah.
royal.
Look, I was like, all right, so I have an idea for your battle royal, right? Because I still want to be involved in the show. You booked me for the show. I still want to show up and at least do something. And I know it was a couple of my fans that did want to see me at this show because it's just like it's a lot of space in Georgia, and this show was like all the way on the south side of Georgia where some fans rarely get to see me. And I was like, I don't want to disappoint the fans. That's like one of my biggest things. And if I can still show up, be involved, and at least put a smile on their face, it makes my day. So I was like, all right, can I be a part of this battle royal? I have one pitch, and I just want to know who is the biggest guy in the battle royal. I want to go in there and just shoot my water gun at everybody in the ring, and then as soon as I turn around, the biggest guy is standing there. I try to shoot him. He's just like, what are you doing? And I'm just in fear. I'm going to eliminate myself. And that's how it went. He was like, that's actually a great idea. And I was like, look, I ain't got to take no bumps. I get in the ring safely. I know how to get out the ring safely. I'll step over the top rope. I'm tall enough. I can step over it. It's going to be a little struggle, but I can step over the top rope. So
Better
that's
than getting
exactly what we
slammed through,
did.
that's for sure.
But the thing is, like, everybody knew I was injured. So they see me at the show. They was a little confused. They was like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, you know what? I was booked on the show. I'm still here. And I knew all y'all wanted to see me. So they still came up to the merch table and stuff before the show started. They bought some shirts and stuff. That's another thing. Like, I knew I could still, like, get my merch out there, still get over without having to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm at the merch table, and I'm at the merch table the whole show. They didn't see me go to the back at all. So it gets to the battle royal, and I think it was like entrance, like number 11 or something. And my music hits, and everybody's looking. They like, is that Deon's music? And I'm looking confused too. I'm like, oh my god, like they want me in the ring. I was like, my arm's messed up, but I'll go in there. So I ran halfway, and then I was like, hold up. I got to bring something with me. I ran back to the merch table, went in my bag, and I brought out the water gun. Then I ran in there, shot everybody with the water gun. Everybody's bumping crazy. And then I turn around, and I see the biggest guy in the match. I'm like, all right, I want no parts. I roll out. Well, I step over the top rope and I get out the ring. And it was simple as that. People were laughing. It was still like a great moment in the Battle Royal. Because you don't want everything to just be the same in a Battle Royal anyways.
Right.
Somebody got to bring something different to it. And that was very different that night. And the promoter really appreciated what I brought to that. Like, it made a funny moment in the Battle Royal instead of everything just being serious.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need them different things in the show. Like, it just changed the emotion in the show. It needs to be a roller coaster.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I'm glad that you got back as quick as you did, and you've definitely been tearing it up since then. Your booking sheets, you know, even though we haven't spoke a whole lot, I still follow, I still keep up, and I still, you know, like and comment when I can. I think it's fantastic that you're back in the game and ready for, you know, to end 2024 strong, but start 2025 off even fucking hotter, which I feel like is definitely something that is attainable with what you've got going on. John, I want to come over to you because I kind of asked the first couple of questions, and I want to let you have the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Again, Deon, glad to see that you're back in the ring. Glad to see that you got to build some stuff, and not only that, but that you utilized your downtime to build on some skill sets, and that is very important. I think when we talked last time, you were talking about how Matt Cardona was talking about, you know, utilizing every moment and really being able to build on something, even if it isn't where you expected to be or what you expected it to be, you still used it to turn it into a positive. And I'm sure that is why you've had such a great year up to that point, and why you've had a great year coming out of the injury too. Your fan base has been growing, your socials have been picking up, and you've been getting booked. Like Paige said, your book sheets are impressive. The indies are a very interesting place right now, and there's so many things, especially in Georgia. You guys have so many companies and so many people working and so many opportunities there to get in the ring. What do you have coming up in your 2025? What are you looking forward to the most? What big moments are you building for, and where should we expect to see you coming up in the next few months?
A couple big moments. I do want y'all to look forward to, like, we have a promotion called Change. I'm pretty sure y'all heard about it from last summer.
Yep.
We're about to have the second Change in February,
JTG.
and I'm very excited for that. I'm just happy to be a part of it because it's just making history in Georgia, and I'm glad that I even have the opportunity to be on this show. Like, it's amazing, and it's such a big, like, platform because we had so many eyes on us the first show because so many different factors, just the matchups and the Velveteen Dream being there. It was just so much that was put
The
in
star
that.
power was massive.
Yes, definitely. And this next show is going to be even bigger. We're just going to keep going up and up. But that's one show to look forward to. I've also been doing a little extra work with, like, MLW when it comes to town. And a funny story with that, the first time they came to town earlier this year, I actually got hurt a little bit there. It was so this was like probably the day before I was about to get back in the ring after my elbow injury. And I'm helping out with like the ring setup for MLW when it came to town. And we're at the U-Haul truck, we're getting the parts off, and there's like a little elevator on the back of the U-Haul truck.
Mm-hmm.
The elevator comes down, and one of the other wrestlers like, "Yo, Deon, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he pointed down, and the elevator landed on my big toe. I didn't feel a thing. So I pull my foot out. I'm carrying the parts of the ring in, and I'm like, you know what? I think I should check on my foot because a whole elevator did just come down on my foot. I went to the back, and this was at center stage, so I'm in like the little hallway in center stage, and I take off my sock, and I'm sorry, but it's gonna get a little graphic. But my whole toenail came off on my
Oh,
big toe.
shit.
Whole toenail. And the owners of MLW was right there when I did it.
Oof.
So they were like, yo, what the? Like, they were mind blown. They was like, dude, you need to sit down and chill. But I sat down and chilled for probably like 30 minutes, and I got right back up, and I was still helping. I was like, dude, I just had to bandage it up, and I could still
Yep.
help out.
Yep.
And they looked at that like, oh, this guy is different. He really wants this. Because then the second time they came back, it was probably like a month ago. They remembered exactly who I was for missing the toenail. I walked in there, I was about to shake their hand, and they were like, well, no, I asked. I was like, y'all remember me? And then it was like, yes, we remember you. We don't want to talk about it, but we remember you.
Yeah, the trauma. The trauma. No. No.
Immediately,
We're glad that you're here.
okay.
Let's stop.
Yeah. Yeah, they was like, yeah, we remember exactly what happened with you. But it was, even though it was a bad thing that happened, it was still cool to be remembered for that. And
Look,
I also
you
got
make the impressions wherever you can, and whatever you've got going on, whatever makes that image stick in their head, it's the win.
yeah, definitely. And I was definitely winning that night because they put me in a position where basically I went out for a little spot where Dijak beat us all up, and I was actually on the program. So it was just cool in that aspect that they used me like that. It was pretty dope. So now every time when they come to town, like they remember me, but also they'll use me for different spots until I get that opportunity to be like, oh, we need a guy to wrestle somebody. I could be that reliable guy because they've seen the work that I put in. And that's something that I feel like anybody that's listening to this, that's a wrestler, like any opportunity to be remembered. I mean, don't go out there and injure yourself, but take advantage.
Don't dislocate your elbows. Don't rip your toenails off for the gimmick. Don't do those things. But in the moment, if it happens, just embrace it and run with it.
Let me pick your brain a little bit more about the change shows, because that was you said it's a pretty big deal, because it is in the state of Georgia for sure. Talk to me a little bit more about the process of that coming together. I know I'm not sure how much work you did behind the scenes with the original show and helping with that, but and the one that's coming up here. What is it is it in November?
February.
February. What is in November? Something is in November. Something's okay in February. Talk to me a little bit about that, because this is a big thing and a big step for professional wrestling in Georgia. I just based off of chatting with the handful of talent that we've been able to chat with.
So pretty much I was there from the beginning. I didn't really like put together the whole thing, but I was there when they was just coming up with the idea, like it was just in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much they was trying to we were all trying to see like an opportunity to bring younger talent up, So they was like they just wanted to put a show together where it's all black wrestlers in Georgia because not many of us get that many opportunities out here. So they wanted to find one show where all the young talent, all the young talented wrestlers can get an opportunity. And we was like, what can this show be called? We were going through the list. We probably had like 10 different names. And somebody just yelled out change. And I was like, that's it. Because we're making change in Georgia. We're trying to change how they look at black wrestlers in Georgia. So it's like a deeper meaning with that title. And it was perfect for the show. So then I was also there for like how we should put together the matches and stuff. Who should be there? What would be the biggest impact for the first show? Who would bring the most views? What's the best matchups? And it was a couple different factors that factored into change. We had our biggest feud that was Skrilla and David Ali. We seen them feuding on social media for the longest. So right there, when that match was announced, I believe that was the first match announced. People were intrigued already, and that was just off homegrown Georgia talent. So that tells you a lot about like our black wrestlers in Georgia. Like if they drew like I can't I can't say exactly what the ticket sales were, but everybody was excited when we found out how many tickets were sold just off that match being announced alone. It was just mind blowing. Like we can pull from like just black wrestlers. Like people didn't really believe in us. So it also plays a factor with storytelling too. Like you gotta have great storytelling, and it was a lot put into that rivalry specifically. So that brought a lot to change, and then we also had Velveteen Dream. A lot of people had different thoughts on Velveteen Dream, but we knew we would get eyes from him being a part of the show, and we felt like change, being changed for black wrestlers and being changed for wrestling in Georgia, could be changed for his career too. And that's how it was pitched to him. So he was really like appreciative to be a part of the first show and being a part of something that's so like historical. And he was like, yeah, this I definitely want to be a part of. And it was just amazing to have him a part of it too, because he also, when he showed up, he gave all of the younger talent some of his knowledge from WWE and stuff and how they work. And that's a whole nother background aspect to this change promotion. It wasn't just the stuff in the ring, it was the stuff in the back. Bringing all these different wrestlers together, we could learn from each other. It was like some students from WWA 4 that was there. They got to learn from some of us. We got to learn some things from them. And we got to learn from Velveteen Dream because he brought that WWE aspect to it. So it was just a lot put into change, and it was just amazing. But that was most of like the background work and how we wanted to do it. And oh, one more thing, the battle royal, that was the aspect that could have brought it brought so many different talents in there. And it really shows how much like Naja cares about wrestling, because he booked that whole battle royal. And people were saying that battle royal was the best battle royal in Georgia, like ever. Like from an indie show, that was the best battle royal. And I'm pretty sure y'all watched it. And did y'all enjoy it?
I have not seen the entire show yet. I have not
Okay.
seen. I have not. He did not send me that link. I've seen some other of the PCW stuff, but I've talked to him at length about the show, and I did see some clips, and I got to see some odds and ends, and I don't want to pull too much behind the curtain about Thy Hoochie Daddy
Yeah.
because he's such a
But
good, he's a good
definitely
dude.
take a little watch at it after this. I'm trying to get him to send the link, or if I can find the link, I'll send it to you all. It's
Yeah.
very enjoyable because even I watched it back like twice, and normally I don't watch back an indie match. Like I'll normally be
Well,
like studying like older matches and stuff, but that match, even with me being a part of it, normally like I'll watch back my match real quick and I'll watch it once. But I watched this twice, and it's a battle royal. It's a lot of people in there.
Well, I got excited about the show initially when I started seeing the match drop. So obviously, like Naja, he told me that this was happening. He was like, "Keep your eyes peeled. We're going to make a pretty big announcement. No problem. I got you. Don't worry about it. If I see it, I got you." And I saw it. I got him. But it was the announcements that were coming out with the guys that we've spoken to, yourself. Like, I get more excited for you guys in that situation because it is it's a big situation. It's a big deal. It is going to bring attention, especially selling it the way that you're selling, which is the way it should have been sold. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, the gripe is real, and in certain situations, it's not fair to see talents like so many of you get overlooked, even in society today. It just baffles my fucking mind because talent is talent. You have it or you don't. It don't have a goddamn thing to do with skin color. And the fact that that's still a situation in today's profession, it makes me sick. But I can't change it. I can't. You know what I mean? But you guys can, and you are, and you're taking it and you're doing it in the ring where it matters and showing everybody what they're missing. That is fucking beautiful to me. It is a way to cram it to not say damn the man or the system, but that's the middle finger. Like, fuck you guys, we can do this shit too. I would love to see you guys put it on, on a monthly basis. Let you guys want to fuck around now. We got that corner of fuck around and find out. Now we'll find out. And if you're betting on yourselves and you win, there's no sweeter taste. At least to me. I can't speak for anybody else.
You're right. You're definitely right. And it's cool. We got to mix it up with like so many main eventers and stuff, like some of the big names in Georgia. Because I heard like Paul Heyman say something about like how to build like a show, and he was saying basically you have your two main eventers. You have your second bracket with the mid card. You have your main eventers go against the mid card. Now you have 4 main eventers. Then you have your next mid card go against those 4 main eventers, and now you have 6 main eventers. You have to build your show like that. And the fact that we got to mix it up with some of the bigger names in Georgia, that got eyes on us. Towers was in that match. He's one of the big names in Georgia. Then we were booked in a one-on-one match probably like a month ago, and people were excited to see it. Even though it was in Memphis, they were like, "Oh, you're going against Towers." Like, they were actually excited to hear that I was going against Towers. Before, if I wasn't in that situation, if I didn't have that interaction in that battle royal with him, I don't think people would have been as excited as they were. But the fact that I was mixing it up with some of the bigger talent in Georgia, they were like, okay, we can see this. We want to see this. Because it was just a couple seconds we interacted in there. They want to see more. So that was like, when Paul Heyman said that, like I started to realize, oh, that's why they reacted the way they did. Because we mixed it up with the main eventers. Now they're somewhat seeing me as a main eventer. They're seeing me getting close to that spot. And I had a couple more matches with Naja. They seen those matches, and they seen I can hang.
First of all, the fact that I have not seen one of your matches with Naja is fucking criminal. I need to know where those are at so I can see that happen. Because
we've had 3 of them too, and the first one we recorded it, but like the video got corrupted. I was so mad. I felt like that was the best one, but it's one you can watch. It was at the beginning of one of the PCW shows, and Naja felt like this was the best one because the crowd was into it way more than it was for that first match, because our first match was in Memphis.
Yeah,
and it's like that crowd don't really know either of us as personally as our crowd does at PCW.
Yeah, you gotta win that. You gotta win that out of town crowd over versus being in your backyard. Absolutely, I get it.
Exactly. So that was a different reaction with our first match being in Memphis than we had our third match that was at PCW. because our second match was even in Ohio. All our matches have been out of state. But as soon as we had that third match at PCW, it was just like the crowd was erupting. I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. Like I was, oh my God, like I was so in my head. Well, not in my head, but like
That's a goosebumps
it was
moment, is what that is.
yeah, it was a goosebumps moment.
That's what that is.
The way it was set up, Naja did like an open challenge. So it was just the excitement factor when my music hit. It was like, oh my God, Deon is about to go against Naja for the Platinum Championship Wrestling World title. Like, this is crazy. Like, we wanted this for so long. And they were chanting summertime throughout the whole match. I couldn't believe it. Like, in the moment, I couldn't really hear that because the goosebumps from just being in there with Naja, the goosebumps from the crowd reaction when I made my entrance. It was so much put into it. I even had to talk on the mic before it. I was like, I didn't even think about what I was going to say before I went out there. So it was kind of me going through the motions. But at the same time, I'm reacting to them. I'm like, oh my God, they are like so loud. They're excited about this. I'm just trying to get through this promo. But I got through the promo and we had the match, and then when I watched it back, I just couldn't believe the reaction that we was getting for everything in that match. And I'm gonna send y'all which show it was because I can't remember exactly right now, but you definitely got to watch me and Nasha's match.
I feel like I should be thrown in wrestling jail because I haven't seen it yet.
Probably should.
John, go ahead.
So, you when you were talking about the chain show and the opportunities that it gives, you mentioned that a lot of people didn't believe that you guys could get the show booked out and that it would come off as a success. I think a couple of the factors that go into that are, one, Najicism's mind for the business is incredible. He has a completely different way to look at things, and the way he looks at matches and the way he looks at wrestling as an industry and a business gives you guys an advantage there. The other thing is a lot of people underestimate the amount of talent that is in the market that you exist in. Georgia has always been a very deep talent bed, and a lot of times it's overlooked because there is so many shows and so many talents. But the ability to put them all together under one roof and in one ring really gives you guys that ability to push that envelope and find the opportunities to get that fan growth and to get the heat and the overage, I guess, on all of the talent involved. And speaking of all of those opportunities, the industry is going in an interesting way right now with different opportunities too. There's a new program out, the WWE ID Program, and I think that this is an opportunity not just for independents, but for companies as a whole to get noticed and kind of garner that fan base. But it's not just opportunity. There's a lot of divisiveness, and the community and the industry is kind of torn on it. What do you think about the unrolling of the WWE ID Program, and how do you think it will affect not just your local market, but your ability to get bookings other places? What do you think about it, and what do you look forward to with it?
I feel like it's a great thing, to be honest. Some people, I've seen like a lot of different opinions about it. I don't know why there's any bad opinions about it. It's mostly from like the older people that's been on the indie stuff. They think it's like a cheat code to get to the top. I don't look at it that way. Because for the longest, WWE has had their eyes on people. Mm-hmm. To be WWE ID'd is just pretty much saying, like, we have our eyes on this individual. So it's no different from how it was in the past. Like, they know who they're looking at. But now it's just out there to the general public who they have their eyes on. That's the way I see the WWE ID. So I see it as a good thing. Like, oh, you have your eyes on this wrestler. That makes you go and search up that person. I've been doing that. When I see people get WWID, I go look at their page and be like, okay, what I need to work on so I can get to that point. It helps wrestlers, it helps the bookers, and it helps wrestling as a whole. Because now you know who's actually putting in the work. If you get WWID, they put in the work. They not all the way in WWE yet, but they have WWE's eyes on them. So, like, how it makes it good for the bookers is, oh, if I bring in this talent, I know he knows what he's doing because he's WWE ID. They have their eyes on this talent for a reason. And for wrestlers, people like me who need to who still wants to learn and develop in the ring, they can look at these WWE ID wrestlers and be like, okay, I see why they're looking at them. They're doing more character work than me. They know more psychology. So now I know what I need to work on. It's a good aspect for the whole indie scene. That's how I feel about it personally. I feel like
You seem to be looking at it as just like a tag to see who's doing what they're looking for.
Yes, that's how I look at it.
We get asked, I've been asked several times about my views and opinions on it, and I feel like it's a good thing too. I don't think it's a bad situation. There are arguments that are made that, WWE partnering up with different feds, like Reality of Wrestling and a handful of others, that it will steer, athletes to one training facility over another if there's an association. But here's the thing. That's always been a thing. It's just been a quiet thing. It's just been it's not been something that's been, shouted out at the rooftops. And the companies that I've seen that are taking part with the ID program itself, they're reputable companies. If you remove the WWE ID from the equation, Booker T is still making fucking stars. Between and shipping them to AEW or WWE or TNA, like he's making stars. Monster Factory, they're making stars. They've been doing this for years. It's nothing new. But I can appreciate your mentality towards it because that's the right mentality to take. The biggest misconception is that professional wrestling, is for everybody. It is to a degree. Everybody has a role that they could play for sure in professional wrestling, but the in-ring work, everyone thinks that they're going to make it to the top. You're right. This is a kind of a blueprint on how to get you there, and I can appreciate how you're viewing that because I've seen just this past week, just like everybody else has, the first crop of ID stars that they've got their eyes on, and one particular that I went okay was Jack Cartwheel. Because I've seen Jack in Ring of Honor, AEW, doing some work there, doing some work in TNA. I've seen him all over the place within the last 6 to 8 months in some form or fashion. And I thought he was locked down. I thought he was under a contract somewhere. And I guess I was sadly mistaken on that. But it's just interesting to see. And if you, in your mind, when you see these people that are being ID'd now, and you start drawing that list of comparison, how are you going to go about working on the aspects of the game that you feel like maybe you're weak in and they may be stronger, and how are you going to get yourself to that level of being ID'd, I guess is probably the question.
It's all about training, and you gotta get in the ring. And my coaches say this all the time, like, somebody can give you advice, but that's just verbal. You got to get in the ring and practice it. That's the only way you're going to get it in your head. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it during a match. It's like you can't just take advice and then practice it on a show in front of a crowd. You got to work on it. And even if you do get it, you get that advice the same day and you go wrestle that same day and you do it, who's to say you're just going to forget it the next match? You got to keep doing it. You got to practice it. You got to practice it without a crowd there.
Repetition.
So you can, you get that muscle memory and remember to do that. And it's a lot of people that I see, like, they talk about, oh, I'm going to go to this school now because that's what WWE is looking at. If you didn't go to that school before, don't go now. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep learning. Because those schools that they chose, they've always had, like, there's a reason, there's a connection there. They've They have a WWE connection. They have an AEW connection. It's something there. You got Cody over the Nightmare School. You got Reality Wrestling happening, Booker T. They've been had people that's been in the business. If you didn't go there before to get knowledge from this person, you showing up just because WWE is connected, it's kind of like you see where your heart is in this business.
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, you didn't come here before, but you're coming here now. Like, are you really serious? You know, like not to sound like a dick, but just realistically, thinking.
People saying that it's just like I'm gonna look at you differently now because this is how you're talking about the business. Now you want to go to this school. You've been in this area to go to Nightmare for years, and you chose not to go. But now because WWE is looking at Nightmare students, you want to go pay that money to go to that school.
And that's right in your backyard.
Yeah.
That's in your backyard. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing that I think, an argument that I do make when people talk about how this is going to, directly affect how independent talent can make it to the WWE. First of all, you don't need the WWE in wrestling today. The independent scene, if it was going to draw back, there would have been some signs of it now. And there are none. And I'm not going to call myself an expert by any means, but I watch a lot of independent wrestling all over the world and have for the last 2 years. I've seen a lot, and I feel like I would see signs of something pulling back. And I say that to say, you don't need the Fed. There are people in the industry is strong enough as a whole right now that you can make a honest to good living on the independent scene. You just got to work. You know what I mean? It's not it ain't gonna fall into your lap. It ain't, you're not gonna get 15 bookings a month if you don't go out there and hustle. You get out of it what you put into it, and sometimes I think people look past that. Now, 20 years ago, different fucking story. There weren't many direct paths in my day to navigate to try and get to the WWF, and I can't tell you without being a liar that I didn't have aspirations of that when I was on the scene. I did. Everybody does. It's okay to have, but now, and as our industry has progressed, it's not a necessity. There are plenty of reputable companies, and there are plenty of opportunities out there for people to make a living.
You know what? I got a good example for that, right? Because when me and a couple other wrestlers, we went up to Ohio, we had several shows that weekend. We worked Friday, we worked Saturday, and we worked Sunday. I knew how to connect with the fans. That's the important thing to be able to do in the ring. I connected with the fans, and I made 6 times my booking fee at the merch table that weekend. I made way more. That was the most I've ever made at a show. And I kept selling every day. I was like, dang, by the end of this weekend, I'm going to make a month's worth.
Yeah.
It was so much. Like, it's just all about connecting with the crowd. And even last Sunday was a prime example. I had a match on this show, and we were all at the merch table during intermission. So we all got merch up there. It's probably like 1 or 2 people that sold like 1 or 2 shirts. I had several shirts up there, and by the end of that show, I was sold out. And one dude walked up to me. He was like, dude, how the hell? He was like, bro, Deon sold his whole fucking table. Like, how did he do that? And I was like, dude, honestly, it's connecting with the crowd, bro. That's it. That's all you got to do. And like, I'm a humble person. So the way I tried to explain it to him, I'm like not trying to brag about it or anything, but he asked, he was like, hey, how did you do that? And I was like, well, it's just the little things I put in between my moves. Like, I just learned this one thing when I go up to the top to do my elbow drop, because that's my signature. Stop on the apron, acknowledge the crowd. Literally, I get the loudest pop of the match just stopping and looking at them, because that's what they're here to interact with us. So we need to interact with them. That's like the biggest thing in the match. So now I know, like, I can always make more money at my merch table than I make for my booking fee. Like the fee, it is cool. Like I definitely want to get paid something, but most of the time I don't really care about how much the booking fee really is. If I see it as an opportunity to be in front of a large crowd, I'd be like, all right, we can go a little lower because you have a huge crowd and you need a guy, so I'll show up. It's cool. You just cover gas, I'm there
Yeah,
because
like
I
you.
know I'm gonna make money at the merch table. I'm that confident in the stuff I've been learning from my coaches because they know exactly what they're doing. They're giving us the knowledge. You just got to take it and use it. And I've been taking it and using it. People been saying I've been improving, and it shows. It shows.
Dude, ask an NFL star or an NBA star if their contract is where they get paid at, and I guarantee you they laugh at you. Everything is in the sponsorships, and for you guys, your merch table is your sponsorship.
Mm.
And I think you have absolutely nailed it in on that. And I think a lot of people miss that. And we talk about it on the show a lot when we plug for everybody's merch. It's like, hey, the way to support is buy the shirt, buy the ticket, buy the sticker, buy the thing on the table, because that money goes directly to the talent. And you guys are utilizing that like the sponsorship that it is, and that's a joy to hear. The one thing that I will say about the divisive nature of the ideas going around about the WWID is that that mentality that you mentioned when you were talking about stars looking at the places that are ID'd now and the schools that are put forward. Those same schools, like you said, are the guys that have had these connections for years. There's nothing different about that. The question I have is, in the locker room, what kind of conversation is going to happen at a show that is not ID'd or that is working around a roster that doesn't have IDs? What's that going to look like to a company that's trying to get to that point? And what's the conversation from the talent side as far as like, oh, we got to get to this show, we got to get to this show because those are the ones they're looking at? Is that a factor for you guys, or is that something that you
Mm.
haven't really had to deal with yet? I know the program's new, so.
Yeah, me personally, I haven't thought about it that way. Like with the WWID thing, like I said earlier, like I just look at the person's content and see what they do. I'll probably look up like a match or two to see how they do in like a full match, so I'm learning there. But I haven't really looked at it as an aspect like, oh, I got to be on this show because they're WWID. Like you said, they've been had these connections for years. I've been wanting to go to reality or wrestling, and my thoughts like of going now is not because they're connected to WWE. I've been wanting to go for Booker T. I knew the knowledge I could get from him. Nightmare Factory has been near me, but I knew me personally, I didn't want to go there from the things I've heard, and that's my personal opinion of why I don't want to go there. So I I really want to go to reality or wrestling. I want to get there, get that knowledge, and then take it. And no matter where I go after I get that knowledge, I still got the knowledge, man. Like
Yeah.
I can use it out here. I don't have to go
Mhm.
straight to NXT or WWE just because I went to reality or wrestling. Like it's just getting the knowledge there. And I think that's what some people are going to realize when they do take that jump and go to that school. They think they're just going to get the keys and go straight up to the top. It's not that simple because
No,
you can
because
go there.
now you're putting yourself in a position to where you're surrounded by not just you, but 30 other people who all have the attention for a
Yeah.
handful of spots when I can be over here and still have fantastic competition, still have great talent, and perhaps be the focal point and be the star. You know, like it's all really about perception, and I hate that I feel like we get so blinded by WWE or
Yeah.
AEW or stuff of that, feds of that nature, top tier organizations, et cetera, and lose track of that's fantastic. But there's so much other stuff going on all the way over here or all the
Right.
way over here that you're gonna miss. And that's why we love the independent scene, is
Well, and
because. Go
that's
ahead,
one
Johnny.
of the concerns I have about the ID program is that it's going to shift the whole focus to different places and pigeonhole eyeballs to looking at just specific things and go right back to where those opportunities are the only things that matter and the only thing anybody's looking at, and not just the fans but the talent. The talent is where the perspective of the talent is what I'm mostly concerned about. Because if all of the talent is looking at these roster slots, then those become highly sought after. They become hard to attain, and everybody's eyeballs shift focus over to this thing. When you said, everybody has the aspirations, and as a guy that never had that aspiration, I always wanted to build my own product, which puts me in a different thing. Like, I have a different mentality when looking at, the mainstream show. I never wanted to sign a contract. I always wanted to build my own place that people wanted to come to as a different opportunity than the mainstream show. And now we see independents doing that everywhere, like MLW, there's Riot City, WrestleFest in Portugal. There are lots of places that are building their own niches. Georgia specifically has plenty of them that are building their own markets, their own territories. And I just worry that the focus being drawn away from those things will change the landscape of independence in a way that isn't what we're doing right now. And while all change is good, you get to see a new thing. I wonder what direction it will take. And I'm glad to see that you guys are building things like Change in the background, because that's another opportunity for people to get bookings and find good talent and solidify those core bases.
Well, devil's advocate or hindsight 2020, and then Deon will get your take on it. While yes, you think it may or it could monopolize eyes to the specific companies that are attached to it. On the backside of that, it's going to make those who may not have that interest and who want to build their own, like, you're gonna have to work. It's going to be work either way around. And you and I, John, both know that if you're passionate about something and you believe in what you're doing,
if you build it, they will come.
It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it or what anybody else has to think about it. You build your own, you can do that, and it can still. You're just gonna have to work. I'm not denying the fact that it will monopolize some eyes. I'm sure that it will.
Yeah.
But I'm also very confident in the talent that are on the independent scene right now, because we're all competitive. Like, we all have a competitive drive, a competitive nature. It's just going to make us be more competitive to get that attention back,
And see, that's what I was gonna say. They are gonna have a lot of eyes, but as long as you're pushing great content, like for the fans, they will watch the product. And it's like the same thing with the wrestlers, like building up your own brand. You don't have to go to these bigger shows just to put on a great match, put on some good content. You this Every wrestler, you're your own business.
Mm-hmm.
You need to market your business, put yourself out there, because the way you saying it, like, the wrestler is going there just to get the promotion to market them to WWE. That's the way they're trying to look at it. If they're going into that business just to have a match on that show because they got WWE watching them, you have to market yourself so WWE can see you. If they see you, they're gonna have, like, even though their eyes are already on this promotion, they already know who they're looking at specifically. They may see something they like and be like, okay, this kid may have something. But if they see something naturally on their timeline and it's like, oh, this is a great wrestler. Why we haven't seen him before? Now they're more intrigued in this wrestler because they've never seen him before. You just showed up. So you have to market yourself on Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube.
The socials game for indie wrestlers is off the fucking chain right now.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It is wild out here.
It's like one in a million for somebody to see your video specifically, but it's just all about the right person seeing it. Because it just takes one person that works in WWE to see your content, see what you're doing, and like it, and show somebody else in WWE and be like, damn, he is doing good. He's doing psychology. He's working that headlock. He's working that wrist lock. He knows how to work the crowd. He's showing other people in WWE. There's so many people that work in WWE. It could even be people that used to work at WWE and send something to an old friend and that works in WWE and be like, look, take a look at this kid. He knows what he's doing. It's simple as that. I could never meet Booker T, and he see my content one day while he's scrolling on Instagram and be like, who is this kid? And he could bring me in that way. You never know. It's just stuff like that.
It's the uncertainty of the industry and what it brings with it, but it's also part of that situation. You know, it's really similar. We again peel behind the curtain. We talked to Jesse Daniels from Australia last night. And one of the things he said to us or said to me, and it's something that I used to say way back in the day, and I can't believe I forgot it. Like professional wrestling is you can love it, but it's the only thing that won't love you back. And it's kind of true to a degree, but it's just like it's the mistress. We do it because we love it. You know, you guys that are out there today, you're pushing for tomorrow. You know, like the vets that are out there now, they're gonna be here in 10 years. You know, but
And you know what? I'm glad you said that because me and another wrestler had this conversation the other night because it's different people out here that just they look at the business a different way. The best example is like if we're going to training, it's some people that's ready to leave as soon as training's over. Why don't you take this opportunity to stay longer? Learn something that you need to work on personally. Not just like the drills that we did earlier, but it shows like who actually wants to get this. Like it's some people that from when they get in there, oh, I'm tired. Let's just go through the motions, go through the drills, not really taking in the drills and like applying it. So once it gets to the end of the class, they just dip. They leave.
you know, I'm
And
gonna take you to a situation, or not a situation, but something when I was back in my day again, you know, coming up and playing sports. Coaches used to always tell us, "You practice how you play." If and that is very true to training. So if you're going through exercises or you're going through your shit, you can't go through the motions because you're gonna again you practice how you play. If you're being lazy while you're trying to hone in and try and get better, well,
mhm.
you know, you're probably not going to play as well as somebody who is in there taking it seriously. And you know, again, there's a time for relaxation within anything and with any job or within any hobby or
Yeah.
with any there's the time and place for that. But getting in your training, no, that's not it. I would never stay late, but I used to our training back in '99. We started at like 4 p.m. on like a Saturday. I'd always get there at 2. So I
But I'm
would.
pretty sure you never had like the feeling like, oh, I'm just ready to go. Like
Oh
you
fuck
still
no.
take in the
I
training. Yeah.
no hell no. I because
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's your escape. We're back in the day. That was my escape. That's how I was
Yeah.
able to channel whatever issues I was dealing with. If I was pissed off or whatever, that's how I got it out. If I needed to stay late, I would stay late. Or if somebody asked me, I'm not saying that I was a big fucking star by any means, but I had a pretty solid following in Alabama in the late '90s and early 2000s. So I would have people say, "Hey, can you mind hanging out and walking through a couple of things?" Yeah, no problem. I don't mind doing that. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's just where it's at. But times and change. The times have changed, right? Like obviously we're not back in the late 1990s. We're here in 2024, about to turn into 2025, and to see that some of that's still there, it's kind of crazy because there's so many opportunities out
Mhm.
there. If you take it seriously, when it's time to take it seriously, yeah, fuck around, but damn, not now. Let's give me your all because I'm giving you my all. It's kind of how I view
Exactly.
it.
Well, it's an entertainment industry, and entertainment is supposed to be enjoyable and fun, but it is a serious business. And I think one of the things that you said was, how you practice is how you play, and wrestling especially, and probably all sports realistically, is a habitual thing. If you are habitual about the way you move and the way you pull off a move, even just like a wrist lock. If you practice that same thing 1,000 times and your body remembers the movement and you just do it, it comes off as a more natural flow of state. And being habitual is repetitive. You must repeat thousands and thousands of times. I don't even bump school is a prime example. You take how many bumps in a class day for bump school? Hundreds, thousands, maybe. I don't know. I lost.
Depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, there's no telling how many times you take that front bump, how many times you take the rollover bump, how many times you take a face bump. There's no telling. But until you do it thousands of times, it never looks good on the camera. And that's part of the business. And like you said, it's the time and effort that you put in and the way you go about doing it that makes the difference in not just your ability to build your career and your brand, but your longevity too. If the fans can't see you being logistically fundamentally sound, they're not going to follow you because they're going to find a guy on that same show that they came and paid their $10, $15 for that's going to produce the better quality in the motion. And that's what they're going to attach to. And like you said, during your moment when you go up to the top for your elbow, you found a way to make that connection to the fan. And it is that little thing, those details that make the difference in selling 2 shirts and selling out every box you got in your car.
Yeah, that exactly. I couldn't have said it any better.
Give them that. Give them that little look around, and smack that turnbuckle a couple of times, and let's go.
Man, it was the look. Like the first time I did it, it was just shocking to me. Like I didn't know, and it's like all I did was look at them. That's all they wanted. I looked at them, and it was the loudest pop. It was louder than any move I could have did in there. It was amazing, and it was mind blowing. So now every time I do it, I'm doing it because I'm trying to find every opportunity I can interact with the crowd. It ain't got to be necessarily like me jumping out the ring, giving them a high five, but just looking at them in between moves. That's all you need to do. That's
the energy in the arena when Shawn Michaels is standing in the corner and hits the foot. It's the same thing. When The Rock gives the eyebrow, when there's those moments, and they always change the way the arena is. Like in those moments, the arena just electrifies. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It drives the talent to want to push it a step further. You know, like if you have the investment of the crowd, you've got it all. I said this last night too. Like Gene Simmons once said, "If you lose the fans, you have nothing." So without the fans, you're nothing. And to see the genuine connection, it continues to grow. It's beautiful to see. And to see the organic movement of Deon Summerz from just 6 months ago. I mean, to now, it's fun. It's a fun ride. With 2025 looming around the corner, I know I asked you this the first time we had you on, but I'm going to ask you it again to see if the answers have changed or if they stay the same. With 2025 coming up, give me some names of people that you want to get in the ring with if you got the opportunity to.
One Georgia wrestler is Teriyaki. I feel like something's coming up where I can get in the ring with him. I'm hoping I get this opportunity sooner than 2025 because I'm at a promotion with him now. I just started with them like last week, and Teriyaki's on the roster, and they're saying it could happen. So hopefully that happens real soon.
I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be fun.
I'm excited for it too.
Teriyaki is definitely a favorite of ours.
Oh, bro.
Yep.
He's everybody's favorite.
For good reason.
Yeah, definitely.
It goes back to what we were talking about. It's the authenticity of the work and the drive that he has for the business, and you can tell that he's passionate about being a wrestler. And that's part of it.
Yes. He is amazing. He puts in the work, bro. And even when I seen his match on the show we was on together, he was doing everything. Like, he was putting in that character work. He was doing his spots and stuff. Like, you can tell he knows what he's doing, man. Teriyaki is definitely someone to keep your eyes on for all the listeners out there. Teriyaki is a great wrestler. Another one on my list, and I want to get to the level where I can get this match, but it feels like it's too soon to talk about this. But I feel like Baron Corbin
Speaking
is
into
going to come
existence.
to Indy, and I would love to have a match with Baron Corbin.
I mean that.
If he comes to Indy, man, like normally I wouldn't ask for like a match like with a WWE wrestler. Like I would love to still have a match with somebody that was formerly in WWE and stuff, but I would love to have a match with Baron Corbin. Like more than anything in the world.
So many opportunities at his feet right now. You know,
Yeah,
a lot of people out there talking about WWE fumbled, and maybe they did.
yes,
And
they did.
maybe this does change the landscape for a guy like Corbin. But man, the amount of opportunities out there for him to go work is incredible. And I think we're going to see him all over the place.
Definitely. It's some people that's 50-50 on it though. They think he's just gonna like chill and not really be into the wrestling scene anymore.
Well,
I don't know.
He's
I don't know.
He's one of those
It's
cats.
possible.
He's one of those cats that he doesn't have to at this point. You know,
Yeah.
he wasn't stupid with his money. He was he managed himself. And let's be fair, like he has his background before WWE. Like he was there because he wanted to be there, not because he had to be there, or because you know what I mean.
Exactly.
I'm a firm believer if he chooses to step out onto the independent scene, because I don't think that he was on the Indies. I think he was a WWE from start to finish. I think that he could probably reinvigorate his love for the industry right now, because there's a lot of money for to be made for, especially, you know, I hate to use the release as any form of fashion, but the fact that he just came off of WWE, like there's he could capitalize.
Definitely.
If he chooses to, but this is where again we're going to find out. You know, as fans of the industry, or people within the industry, we're going to find out. Like, did he love it?
'Cause
If
we
you
can
love
definitely
wrestling,
see-
you love wrestling, you're going to get out
Yeah.
there and make it. You're going to go out there and show them why they fumbled.
And I feel like he can definitely give them that why. Like the same way Zack Ryder went to Matt Cardona on the Indies, I feel like he can make the same impact on the Indies. To be honest, he could be
Absolutely.
right there behind him because he, like listening to him talk on different podcasts and stuff, seeing how he thinks on wrestling. Like I feel like if he goes out here, his knowledge and how he looks at the business, how he looks at like a business in general, how to advertise yourself. I feel like he'll
He'll
be
kill it.
amazing
He'll
out
kill
here, man.
it.
He'll kill it. Yes.
He'll be
Oh
right.
my
He'll be
God,
right up there with
yeah.
Dijak right now. Dijak's out there. He's making the most
Huge.
of this.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I ain't mad at him. This is exactly what you do. Like, fuck that. I'm out. Let me go out here and show you why I was there to begin with, since you didn't do anything with me. I'll make you pay for it.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing in the indies right now is that with social media the way it is, and with all the opportunities and all the companies that are working cards, I think that the individual onus comes down to the wrestler. Can I get myself over? Can I brand myself? Can I make the internet love me? And that's really what it comes down to. You see these guys like Cardona doing all this stuff everywhere, and it's all come down to what he was willing to put in the effort, what he was willing to do to get over, and what he was willing to do to keep himself in front of as many fans as possible. I think a lot of times guys miss those opportunities because they don't even recognize that it is one. I think realistically, Deon, you've got a great mindset for it, and the fan interaction and the way that you're pushing your branding is exactly what you should be doing. And he's a prime example of how it works.
Thank you. I'm always trying to come up with like different ideas, different content, and it was even like I knew my weakest side was promos, and I've started recently like working on promos, getting promos out there. And I'll even like edit it to make it more intriguing. And I went to this one promotion when I had the match with Towers. It was in Memphis at this show I've never been on. I did that promo, and without me knowing, before I made my entrance for the match, they played the promo before my match. because it told the story. It told where we were, why we're here, and we're about to show where it's gonna go. And I was completely shocked. I did not know they was gonna play the promo. And it's just the little things like that. Like, if you show that you care about what you're doing, the promotion, it helps the promotion first of all, and then it shows that the promotion that you care about that specific promotion to even make a video like that, to do a promo advertising something that's in a whole nother town. Neither of us were really known at this promotion, and it was the fact that they played this promo just to tell the story. Like, now I see like what I gotta put in to actually show that like I deserve to be here. That I know what I'm doing. I show that I care about the business. And that's the way the promoter was talking to me after the match. He was like, dude, I love the promo that you cut. I didn't know it was even that much history when I booked the match. Like, it was just a random
He was just a booker, was like, I got two guys, we're going to throw them in a match. And then you brought the history to it.
Mm-hmm. And
made
it was
the investment
cool.
worthwhile.
Definitely. And even the crowd was into it right off the promo, because it wasn't just me talking. I put the visuals up there. I said what I did to Towers before. I struck him in the Battle Royal at Change, and people reacted to the promo alone. They didn't know who I was, but it's like, oh, why he hit that big dude? Like, they were shocked. So then when I made my entrance, they reacted during the entrance. They reacted for Towers during the entrance. And now the whole time, like, they're just worried about me getting destroyed by Towers, because Towers is still pissed from what happened previously. So they're telling
emotional
me to
investment.
Yeah, it's emotional investment, and they just wanted me to survive this situation, like, against this big guy. So it's little things like that now I see, like, well, what I got to do. And like, I've been working on the promos and getting them out there, and I'm still doing that to this day. Like, I'm gonna keep doing that, because that helps me get out there also. And that was the most interaction I've had on my page in a minute, just posting that promo. I was like, damn, like, I just tripled my reaction on different posts just because I sat here, took the time to actually put out a story. And that's another thing people need to do. They need to put out a story. Like, even though that was a one-off match, try to find a way, a reason for y'all to fight.
You have to make everything bigger than the moment.
Yeah. And it was another thing Paul Heyman said, because I just listened to this interview probably like 4 days ago, and he was like, have a reason for the fighters to be out there. He was like, one of the people he were training one time, they said, basically, I'll go out there as a babyface, and I'll tell you how skilled you are in the ring. All right, you're amazing, blah, blah, blah. And the heel would just be like, your mom's a hoe. And that's the reason they fight. You called my mom a hoe. And they get to fight. So he was like, little things like that. That's how you get that story started. And then he was like, another way, he was like, what if one guy is great at holds? He's amazing. He makes everybody tap out. He's undefeated. You got another guy that's undefeated, and he breaks out of every hold he gets in. Nobody can make him, even hold him down for a hold. Now you're intrigued to see this match, because one person taps everybody out, one person breaks out of every hold. Who's gonna win this match? Is just like, that's the story with that match. So it's things like that. You can even have a high flyer going against a submission specialist, that his finisher is like an ankle lock or a Boston Crab. It's like, oh, if he gets him in the Boston Crab, he's not going to be able to do his high flying stuff no more. His leg's going to be hurt. It's stories like that.
I'm a big proponent of attacking legs. I am.
Yeah, it's things like that gets people intrigued into the match. So not only like having an aspect where y'all just talking crap back and forth. If y'all have like a specialty in the match, get together, figure out what's the opponent's specialty, use that in a promo, be like, oh yeah, you're not going to get that hold on me because I break out every hold. Like, it's stuff like that can
psychology
just
build.
Yeah, psychology. But yeah, I'm slowly learning all this, and applying it and I see the results, man. That's all it's about, bro. Applying what you learn and you will see the results.
Well, something else that I stumbled across, not to put you on the spot, but somebody started streaming on Twitch.
Uh, That's
That's
me. I started looking at basically, I'm more. I have more kid fans than the actual adult fans. Like,
well, sure.
and I have a lot of fans that are kids. So,
Dude, it's been a fact forever that the kid fan in wrestling is where the money is. You get the parents' wallet tied up on the kids' fashion.
and I was like, I want to capitalize on this even more because I like to play the game from here and there. I was like, why don't I just stream it? Because it was something I used to do before I wrestled. Like, I was big into YouTube and stuff. I started playing like fighting games. I was into Mortal Kombat, Injustice, and I started a whole YouTube channel about that probably in like, it was like freshman year of high school. And I grew that channel, but as soon as I got into wrestling, I just stopped doing YouTube and stuff. I was like, I got all these fans now. I got a whole audience. Why don't I use them on Twitch and then also gain an audience on Twitch that can come over to my wrestling career? And that's what I've been doing. And I've been seeing it grow more than ever. Like, it's shocking I didn't think about this beforehand, but it's like once I started doing it, I was like, okay, I see this working. You got to find every way possible to get that exposure. And you like being a wrestler, you don't have to wrestle to get that exposure. Like, just be on there playing the game, connecting with the fans that way is a whole nother way of connecting with them. It could just be somebody that's seen you once, followed you on Instagram, and they see, oh, he's about to play this game. I didn't know he was a fan of Dragon Ball. Let me go watch him play Dragon Ball. Now y'all have that deeper connection because he's interacting with you in the chat while you're playing the game. And it's like, okay, next time I see you wrestle, like we could joke about talking about Dragon Ball, and now like you have a deeper friendship, deeper connection with this specific fan. And it's little things like that that also helps your wrestling career. And it was a lot of people that was on the WWE roster that was doing that. You had AJ streaming, at AJ Styles. You had Adam Cole was streaming. I don't know if he does it anymore, but he was streaming. And you got the Up Up Down Down channel that actually brought like gaming fans to the wrestling gaming channel. And then they're like, oh, all these are wrestlers, and now they're watching wrestling because now they see wrestlers are nerdy and like games just like them. Like, it's all
a lot of wrestlers are gamers undercover. There's a lot of downtime and a lot of opportunity to put something that gets your brain off of it.
It still shocks people to this day. Like, I literally seen a video of Randy Orton talking about he was playing Elden Rings or something, and people were just shocked that he was a gamer. He was like, bro, I never thought like Randy Orton would be a gamer, bro. This is crazy. Like, it's just things like that that even connects you more to Randy Orton. Like, oh, he's a gamer. That is so cool. Like,
humanizes.
Absolutely does. It humanizes the athlete. I think I see more on Twitter from the Kings of Ruin from Riot City Wrestling about gaming conversations than I ever see them comment about wrestling. Ever.
Facts. Havoc.
Havoc and Zach for sure are buried in the gaming algorithm. What's your most popular game on your channel, and what do you like the most? Because those don't necessarily have to be the same thing.
I definitely like the Dragon Ball game that dropped. And I feel like that has been the most successful streaming it because it's new, but also it's like the best Dragon Ball game that's ever dropped, to be honest. And it's bringing.
It had a high bar to beat Budokai.
Yes, it did. And honestly, I feel like it is the best Dragon Ball game. Like, for real. It brought so many aspects from all the old games, and it's bringing in a lot of old Dragon Ball fans. And it's some people that didn't even play games for years, and it brought them back to playing games. I was one of them. I wasn't deep into playing games for like the past year, and I don't think I bought a game in the past 2 years. Like, I've literally just had the Game Pass on Xbox, and I'll play like the free games, but I never went out and like bought a game. I went and bought that. I dropped $100 on this game because I was genuinely excited about it. And for a game to do that, bring back old gamers, bring back people that used to be gamers like a decade ago, and now they're playing the game again. That tells you everything you need to know. Like this
It's
game,
huge for the gaming industry right now, especially with a lot of gamers being very underwhelmed with new AAA titles. Having a title that actually does bring fan bases back is very cool for the industry.
hmm and I've been getting like a lot of new viewers on Twitch through that game, and they will come follow me on Instagram, and I'll see them comment on some posts and be like, "Yo, I didn't know you was a wrestler. This is so cool." And then they'll say where they found me at. They'll be like, "Yeah, I followed you through your Twitch." When you were streaming Dragon Ball, I didn't know you was a wrestler. This is so cool. This is like my dream. I want to be a wrestler someday. And even when I comment on like X or something, I'll be like, "Oh, Xbox Live is down today." I did that one time, and then the dude came to my page. He was like, "Dude, you're a wrestler," and he made a whole post on his page and said, "Dude, I believe you will be like the best wrestler when you're gonna get to NXT one day. You're gonna be NXT
He's
champion, and
fangirling
hopefully
you.
they bring you up to the main roster."
Right
I'm like,
off
"Man,
rip.
all this came from a rant about Xbox Live being down." This is crazy, but that just brings everybody together. Like when they can relate and, like you said, humanize a wrestler, and it makes everything better, bro. You get that connection.
Well, I think the reality of it is, as time moves forward, the smoke and mirrors of professional wrestling, or that once was professional wrestling, it's not there anymore. I think most people are smart enough to deduce that there are two different people. There's Deon Summerz, and then there's who Deon Summerz is when the lights and the cameras and the entrances aren't on. Like, while aspects of Deon in front of and behind the camera are the same, getting in there and being able to interact with your audience is part of. And I say that because I didn't start streaming until about a year and a half ago, and even then I was really like, I was not necessarily for it or against it. I just didn't know what the fuck it was going to do. And
I had to
Yeah.
drive the idea home and make him believe in it because he didn't have a fucking clue. That's
and
what
I
it
was
was.
just like, a year and some change later, you know, Michael Oku has been through our channel. From over in the UK, we've had Mark Haskins from the UK. Like, all these different Skrilla's done live shows with us. Even to, Naja reaching out and saying, "Hey, can you do this for us?" And I said, "Yes, no problem." I didn't know what I was getting into,
Yeah.
and had I
Yeah,
known,
we were not aware. We were not aware that we were about to light a powder keg in this bitch, but we did, and we handled it.
I mean, had I known, we could have done some more things. We could have, yeah. If I'd been in on the deal, we would have made some things happen. But it's one thing after another. You never know what'll happen. Is ultimately what I'm saying. And with the streams, again, it's the same concept. It just takes the right person to come in and see you, and then you've made a follower. We took the wrestling niche on Twitch was at like 100 and maybe 40 subscribers to the channel, the wrestling channel. And this is not a flex by any means, but this is just how I see things can happen pretty quickly.
Yeah.
When we started advertising that we were on Twitch, we were always under the wrestling genre. That genre is now up to almost 300. And the only thing that's changed, and we have 226 of them from zero. So the genre has increased by like 100 or so people. Not a big number in the bigger picture in the grand scheme, but those 100
It's
people.
all about the growth.
Big to us.
It's the journey.
Those 100 people came from us, and because they came and they followed us on this platform, and they did this, so you never know the range that you have. I think it's fucking insane that on every continent of the world, right? That we have, they know who we are. Somebody on every continent knows my name and knows John's name. That's fucking crazy to me. but that's the power of streaming. You know, it's just a piece of what comes into it and the connections that you make while you're doing it.
Nah, that's facts. That's facts. And that's the blessing to having all this because you can get this exposure, get this fan base on so many different platforms, and you just don't know until you try, like you said. Some people they think too much of it and like, oh, what people are gonna think about me? Should I even do this? Don't think. Just do it because you never know.
Facts.
It, it's like you can blow up tomorrow just off one video, and now you're making millions because you took a chance on yourself.
That's what it's all about. What kind of aspirations do you have for 2025? And we'll go ahead and then, unless there's anything specific you want to talk about, we'll go ahead and start winding things down.
Uh, to be honest, just getting my connections to like bigger promotions because the whole aspect of like I know how to connect with the crowd now. I just want to get in front of bigger crowds no matter what opportunity it is because the bigger my fan base get, the more opportunities I would get.
Hmm.
And that would just like getting in front of like thousands of people would just be the best thing ever for me because I'll get those follows, I'll be able to grow my page, get more eyes on me just off follower count alone. And from there you just keep building and building. So what I'm looking for is just opportunities on bigger shows, and it doesn't even have to be as big as like MLW or Impact. None of that. It's just like it'd be other indie shows out here that have like 3,000 people there. Like
Hmm.
it's not just shows that's televised. There are shows out here that are huge
The
that
market
don't
is
even
bigger than
record
people
a
think it
thing.
is.
Yeah. So just shows in general like that with big crowds. I'm just trying to get on those shows. I'm doing my research, getting other states too, so other people around the world can get to know me as well in the ring. So yeah, that's one of them. And then also to grow the Twitch. I'm trying to grow that and get a bigger fan base there because it is a lot of other things I want to talk about other than wrestling.
What do you
I'm
got?
eventually I'm gonna eventually like venture out to like YouTube and stuff, and then talk about like movies. I'm a fan of like Marvel, DC, a couple of other comic book movies that's been dropping. Like I like to give my opinion on things, and like some people really appreciate that. And when I was in high school, I used to do like reviews of movies and trailers. And I'm a huge fan of Godzilla. I remember I dropped a reaction to Godzilla. It blew up, and that's what got me over the 1,000 subscriber mark because I was just like, I think it was like which Godzilla movie was it? It wasn't the 2014 one. It was the second one after that where they brought in it was like the King Ghidorah came in. The three-headed kaiju.
Yeah.
I was super excited to see him because like I'm so deep into the Godzilla aspect. Like I started getting teary-eyed a little bit during the reaction. I was like, bro, this is so cool. Like they bringing in like all the old monsters and stuff because the first movie it was like a created monster and stuff. Like it wasn't really
Mhm.
like um a original. Well, it was an original kaiju just for that movie. But they brought in the old kaijus for the second Godzilla, and when I was reacting to the trailer, I seen all the different kaijus fly in. I seen Mothra in there. It was
Mothra.
just like I was getting goosebumps, bro. Like, and I was saying all this during the reaction, and it was people commenting on the video. That was like, dude, I had the same reaction, and they was like, bro, your reaction making me want to see this movie. Like, it was just things like that. Like, I was just connecting with them on the YouTube channel and it was
Hmm.
just amazing. Like I like to see people interact with me like that and have the same feeling about things like I do. And it's cool that my reaction even had a reaction for them. It was just things like that I want to keep doing. So not only with wrestling, just talking about all the different things that I'm heavily interested in.
I can
The best
totally,
thing.
I can hang on, John. I can totally feel where you're coming from right there because some of the best things that have come out of this channel is being able to make genuine connections with people. And because a lot of people, I guess, didn't believe that John and I are who we are, but we're the same people you see on a Monday night or on a Thursday night or on one of our many other shows. We're the same guys. But be able to make the genuine connection with people and to be able to network and get into positions to where we can, where our opinion might mean something. And the biggest way to do that, and the most successful moments for me, are those private DMs that I get from talent, random individual talents that they may be a heel, notable names on the indie scenes. Without dropping too much, you get those private messages that are like, "Hey man, I'm watching you and I appreciate what you're doing." It's the same thing, with what you're trying to build on the backside with the Twitch and get your shit built up. But I get it. It's that, and the reaction videos like, "Hey, you made me want to go see this," or "You making me want to go do this." That's the shit that makes me, I say us, but makes me want to continue to move forward, even in times where I feel like, man, yeah, it's time to throw in the towel on this. Like, at what point do you say enough's enough? Is time an issue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? But it's one of those things that keeps you going, and I feel that 100% because we get several of those a month by people you wouldn't believe if I told you. I'd probably have to screenshot and be like, "There,"
Y'all are
but
honestly, I just want to say, y'all are honestly doing a great thing here, man. Like, I really appreciate y'all for giving me the platform to even talk about stuff like this. And y'all are doing things that's getting younger talent like me exposure when y'all interview the other indie wrestlers out here, getting them out here so they can give their thoughts and opinion on the business and their careers and let people know that they are a genuine person and that they're learning how to do this business day by day. Like we're all learning, and it's just cool that y'all have this platform and giving us
well,
the opportunity.
it's twofold, right? So, like,
Mm.
I hear you, and I appreciate you saying that. It's but the opportunity works two ways, right? Like, I wouldn't know who Deon Summerz is and wouldn't know what Deon Summerz is capable of if I didn't come across Deon while working on projects for someone else, other people. That's how we stumble across various people. And what makes it so beautiful for me, as a creator, if you will, is not knowing who you are and sitting down and watching a spotlight video of you for the first time, watching 2 hours of your work, because in that 2 hour time frame, we're going to be able to deduce what's what, right? And who's got what, where, and when. If we see something, we're not going to say in the setting of that nature, but it gives us the opportunity to immerse ourselves in who the talent is, not just Deon Summerz in this instance, but anybody that we're doing shows. We did a show on Desmond Cole Thursday night, this past Thursday night.
Great show.
Fantastic show, and I've been a big fan of Desmond Cole's for fucking ever, for at least 3 years. I've waited 2 years to do that show, but it was him seeing us make the announcement that we were going to do a show on him. We hadn't had a whole lot of interactions, but he interacted with me about that and quote tweeted our stuff and basically just said thank you. Like it's a two-way street. Not only because you guys are young, you are the future of the business, and it's not just you. It's guys like Red Shaw in Australia. It's guys like Nelson Pereira out of Portugal. It's guys like and gals like Lizzie Evo out of the UK, Levi Muir. All these different talents. Y'all are the future. Like we have to. They say you have to invest in your future. In professional wrestling, you guys are it. So we have to invest in you because you guys are going to be the guys that are going to be entertaining us not only now but for the future. Like it's
I
just
appreciate that.
it's a two-way street. Do we gain something out of it? Yeah, because we're putting our face in front of your audience, just like we're putting your face in front of our audience. And the reality of the situation is it's mutually beneficial the whole way around. And to be able to sit down and have casual conversations, like now knowing you're a Dragon Ball Z guy, I don't know a whole lot about Dragon Ball Z, but that motherfucker right there does, and that's gonna be
I
like
see them over there
like
smiling.
it's a way to get to know more about you and who you are. It's good stuff, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate the time that you give because time's valuable. So like it's valuable to you, it's valuable to everybody, and you don't have to give us the time. You chose to give us the time. So yeah, man, it's there's a lot to it. We've been told that we have a different perspective when it comes to doing shows like this because of how we treat them. I don't feel the need to sit down and try and script out 30 questions to ask you or anybody for that matter. If I want to hear you answer questions, I will listen to you on somebody else's show. I want to talk to you. Are we going to ask questions? Yeah, sure. Are we gonna? But we're gonna engage in conversation around your answers because there's more to it than meets the eye, and that's the fun part about it. And knowing that you are now getting ready to really, I think when it comes to Deon Summerz, if he wasn't sidelined for the couple of months, because even though it's a couple of months, it kind of halts momentum. With what you're building and what you're doing, I think come out 2025 guns blazing. Excuse me, water guns blazing, to be specific.
Yes, sir. There you go.
I really am interested in seeing where you go in the future because there's a lot to unpack, and I know again we probably only scratched the surface, but we enjoy having you on, and I'm not by any means wrapping it up. If you have anything else you want to talk about, we'll be more than happy to do that. What's on your mind as we're getting ready to?
Well, I just want to say something to the audience, the wrestlers that listen. Um, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Take advice from everybody you can. Another thing is whatever school you train at, you can train there, get advice, but also get advice from people that are really good at the things you have to work on. Like, for example, I knew I had to work on marketing, so I went and talked to Matt Cardona. He's amazing at marketing. So just go out there and find somebody that you can learn from. Find your WWE connection, but yeah, don't stress too much about this WWE ID thing. If you're not ID'd, just keep doing great work because that's all we can do. Don't get upset. Don't just keep your head up, man. Just keep your head up.
For sure, John. Do you have any other questions? Usually we end it with a question from you, but do we have one? Do you have one for him before we sign off?
I mean, I have a billion. We could keep talking about all kinds of
I
stuff.
think we're gonna listen. I think
now that he's opened up his whole Twitch thing,
hold on.
like there's another episode.
I was about to say. I think the next episode we need to do a live stream. We need to we'll do a collab live stream, in which we'll sit down and we'll watch some wrestling. You guys can talk Dragon Ball Z and all the fun stuff that comes along with it. I do think that there's more to there's always more meat on the bone with any conversation that you have with people. But yes, John, 100%. If you're down, Deon, we'll set it up down the line and make it happen. Man. Go ahead, John.
So I did want to mention, you were talking about your reactions to the Godzilla movie, and it's funny to me as content creators, and we all fall into that category because all of us are out here on the internet and socials doing content. It's always funny to me that you find things that you're passionate about, and then you realize that the rest of the world is also passionate about it as well. Like your personal appreciation to the Godzilla lore and the story behind it and the world building that's gone into that is not just a you thing. There are thousands of people around the world that share that same interest, and you never really know who you get to contact with for those interests until you're putting out your passion. And for us, our passion is about wrestling, and we've found a newfound passion for the independent scene and how it's building and how it's growing. And we've found our market for it. We've found our audience for it. We found people that come to watch our show to find new talent like you, like Naja, like Redshaw, like Nelson. And they trust us to find these things and present them so that they can find new things to be passionate about too. And I think that's the glorious thing about content creation is you get to explore a thing that you love and you get to present it to others. And then those people can find their niche with you. And that's just part of the building process. And it doesn't just have to be wrestling or video games or movies. It can be anything. Maybe you like to write poetry and you find a whole poetry group. Maybe you like to do artwork. Maybe you like to sculpt. Maybe you like to edit. Maybe you like to character model. Anything that you do is a passion for you, and you can share it out there on your channels and on your platforms, and there's a niche for it. And you can find your fan base that way. And the fact that we have found so many varied talents that have so many varied hobbies, and that we get to share our little varied parts of the world too, is just really cool to me. And I think it's an interesting journey that we're all on, and I'm glad that it's intertwined us this way.
Yes, sir. You're right. You are right. Yeah, like it's just connecting in that way. It really like it makes a lot of people feel good about themselves. Like somebody could have found my video that day and thought like they were the only ones that really cared about Godzilla lore. And now they're seeing me the way I reacted to it. Because not many people was talking about Godzilla. Like Godzilla goes under the radar a lot.
Yeah,
But
as a franchise, I gotta say.
that video, and that's somewhat the reason why it exploded so much. People can't find people talking about Godzilla that much. So I found a good area to blow up in, and they related with me. So they also made me feel good commenting that because now I knew I wasn't alone. It wasn't people just watching the video just to watch the video. They were actually commenting how they felt about the video, how they felt about me, how they felt about Godzilla in general, and knowing that they're not alone and loving the genre. But yeah, like that things like that is just it feels great to know like other people out there have the same opinion on things, and it's amazing, man.
Wow.
And that's what we use this for, bro. We use the internet for all this stuff to connect with people. That's all it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And you just
The world will
gotta-
become a much smaller place, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because you'll meet somebody on social media and then meet them in person. It's like, oh, you remember me? I'm like, well, where do I know you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, yeah, from here. I followed you. I'm like, oh, okay, man. And then like it'll just be like something where y'all DM'd or something online, and you didn't really know who this was, but you remember your interactions with this person when they bring it up, and it's like, oh, okay, you're this guy. Like this, that's so cool. Like
You're the
connecting
wise
like
guy.
that online and then meeting in person is like the best feeling ever.
It has its ups and downs, that's for sure. I can tell you that. Depending on what you're meeting for, I would imagine. Listen, guys and gals, if you have made it this far in this video and you have not done so already, shame on you. Above Deon, above Deon. Is all the social medias. Optic Blast over on X, Instagram, Facebook. You can find him at Deon Summerz. Over on YouTube, you can find him at Deon Summerz 460. Summerz is with a Z, not an S. And if you've been too lazy to just copy and get it done now, go down below. Be right there in the video descriptions. One thing I didn't ask you: do you have a merch store up yet?
I'm about to get that up.
Okay.
I did say something about that last time I was on here. I'm about to get that up.
So they can still, if somebody wants to purchase some gear, they can reach out to you directly, and you guys can handle that.
I do mail out gear now.
Okay.
Because I personally make my gear at home, so I do mail it out now.
Oh, handcrafted? What?
Yeah. So I go to the wholesale shirt store near me, and I get my shirts, my sweaters, and then I order all my vinyl pre-cut from like websites. And then I have a heat press at my house. So I make the shirts myself. I mail them out. It's some people that's never been to a match or a show, and they still order my stuff. They DM me. They be like, what you have for me? And they be like, can I get a shirt? And it's people that live all the way on the other coast. Like
Mm.
they've never like been at a show. I don't know if they've watched some content or just like follow me on Instagram or something and like the content I drop on there, the little highlights.
Mm.
But it's a lot of people that just buy my merch, like just from me connecting on socials. So that's another thing about being good advertising yourself. Like you can connect with them people that can't get there to meet you in person.
Mail outs
So
heard. You heard it here. Until the website is up and running, hit him up privately. You guys can work out merchandise.
very
Handcrafted summer
you
heat.
hit-
That's what you got.
Fantastic, Mr. Summers. This is always a pleasure. I can't wait to get you back on for a live stream because I think that's gonna be a shit ton of fun. And we'll be able to hopefully push some people over to the Twitch genre of Deon Summerz. That link will be down below as well, ladies and gentlemen. So please, I encourage you to go over there and hit that button. I didn't have it up on the screen because I'm not that good of a stalker, apparently. You see what I just did there? I just tied something all the way around 2 hours later with one comment. I appreciate you, Deon, and the time
I
that you give
appreciate
us.
y'all, man.
John, take us
Thank
home,
you,
brother.
thank you.
Well, guys and gals, if you can't make it out to a show where Deon is blazing up the summer trails, you can make it to his merch stuff. Drop those DMs, follow the links down below. If you can't make it to the shows, guys, the easiest way to support your favorite independents to buy that merch. Share and like the stuff. Maybe you can't make it to a show, but your friends can, and you never know who's got it in them to support, who's got it in them to love and share the passion for this industry. And if you just share your content out there, you get all those buttons and clicks. Maybe one of your friends can help them out and get one of those t-shirts, go to a show, and really find something that they're passionate about too. If you haven't done so already, there it is, summertime, guys. It's the end of summer, but the future is bright all over the place. The sunshine is out there, guys. If you haven't done so already, drop those savage elbows on the ding bells where they go. Never miss a beat what we got going on behind the curtain. You guys know we've got new products, new stuff coming down the pipeline all the time. You can get in behind the curtain with us, get early drops, and get your stuff in for Wrestle Request Live. Find out what we've got going on all the time. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being here. We love each and every one of your faces, and we'll see you next time.